I've landed in probably the home away from home. After going through what we went through, it is very important that we create these memories for my children so that when they remember, yeah, we went through this really harsh moment in time, but as a family together, we were able to surpass that, and that not everything is bad and not everything is sorrowful.
What do you do here?
Well, right now I'm working on a series of murals. Come on right in. This is a homage to Rafael Tufino. You know, he did a small painting representing what is called La Bomba de Puerto Rico, the baile. It's a dance.
If you were not able to paint as an evacuee, how would you survive?
I would draw. No.
Using his connections in Chicago, artist Richard Santiago evacuated from Puerto Rico to the city a month after Hurricane Maria devastated the island. 17 years ago, he worked as a visiting artist for a local school that had just hired him for a new project before the storm.
Vamos rapidito.
This time, Santiago decided to resettle in Chicago with his wife and children.
It's just a matter of feeling at home, that you're in a community, that people are calling you, are you okay, come on over, Entra. ¿Qué cosas le han gustado de Chicago, así?
La nieve, los trineos y que puedes explorar. Y el Lincoln Park Zoo también.
With help from his friends in the local Puerto Rican community, Santiago was able to find an apartment, a car, and a school for his two kids. He's one of an estimated 135,000 evacuees who have arrived on the US mainland since Hurricane Maria badly damaged Puerto Rico 6 months ago. And while the majority of these evacuees have resettled in Florida and other East Coast states, Chicago has received a couple thousands of them. After New York and Philadelphia, Chicago has the mainland's third largest Puerto Rican population.
The city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the people who live in this region have opened their arms to their fellow citizens who are evacuating a disaster, uprooting their families and coming here looking for that helping hand. I feel good about this.
Having the political capital that we have as a community and being able to engage the imagination of the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, I think has been an amazing relationship. It obviously speaks to the power of this community. We have been able to provide apartments for people. We have furnished apartments for people. We have provided medical care for people. We have obviously provided educational opportunities for their kids. And in this community, having the world's largest flags made out of steel anywhere in the world obviously adds new dimension to this sort of relationship of the Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico with the diaspora.
Remember, through the arts is where your identity really comes through, right? So we want to portray that to the people here in this community, because that's what they're all about. They're all about, preserving that essence, that Puerto Rican cultural essence, Puerto Rico had been blessed for so many years to always escape on the, with the right foot up front from hurricanes that went by. Like 10 days before, we had Hurricane Irma. And the same thing, how it was gonna come right through. It was almost the same path as Maria, and it went up north. So, it just keeps building this myth that we're not gonna be hit. It wasn't until really the wind started picking up, maybe 10 hours before it hit, that really I got scared. A tornado, hit, and everything happens. But imagine kind of like that same power, but for 6 hours. And everything was just white. It's like a snowstorm, it's just, you can't see anything. And all you keep thinking is like, how's your mother? How's your family? How are your friends? There's a calm before the storm, and then there's despair after the storm, The aftermath is, first, there's obviously what everybody keeps thinking about. There's no electricity, there's no water. But if you don't have cash in your pockets, there's no ATMs. Everything is closed. Everything's destroyed, trees everywhere, electrical cables everywhere. when you're thinking, I got $40 in my pocket, nothing's open. I got, I don't know, like some spaghetti, some Chef Boyardee, I have 2 children. So what do? So then it becomes like a neighbor thing. What do you have? Do you need any help? How can I help? I need this, so you start trying to connect with your immediate neighbor.
While the US government counted 64 deaths on the island as a result of the storm, other independent institutions estimated the death toll was closer to 1,000. And when President Trump visited the island a couple weeks after the hurricane, he said this.
Every death is a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina, what is your death count as of this moment? 17?
16 certified.
16 people certified.
There's stories of people, family member died, nobody could get to them, so they had to bury them in the backyard, And nobody went to claim to investigate, It's like if you're screaming, this is really bad, I'm suffering this, and the government's telling you, no, you're not, you're okay, you just have a cold.
It's now been 6 months since Hurricane Maria wiped out electricity on the entire island and left more than a third of its households without safe drinking water. Today, Puerto Rico faces a growing mental health crisis, and hundreds of thousands of homes remain without electricity as efforts to rebuild the power grid have been slowed down by botched contracts and by the Puerto Rican government's financial struggles.
If there's one thing, really, honestly, that has been really sad about this whole process has been the treatment of the U.S. government to Puerto Rico. If there was any question that we are third-class citizens, I think through Maria, it was obvious.
We've been talking about this concept of the 3 R's: relief, rescue, rebuild.
The Puerto Rican Agenda is a Chicago nonprofit group that seeks the advancement of the Puerto Rican community in the city. As part of the organization's campaign for rescue, relief, and rebuilding in Puerto Rico, Santiago is working to save the island's School of Visual Arts and Design. Aside from being a painter, he is also a professor at the university. Santiago estimates the school's physical damage to be around $1 million. But the real damage, he says, lies in the loss of staff and students.
When you quantify it, $1 million. Oh, we can raise that, but it's not that. It's the students who had to leave, who couldn't come back. It's the people who died along the process. It's the professors who lost their jobs, the professors who had to leave because they weren't getting paid. A country without culture is a dead country, and that school is a vein, it's an artery for the arts in Puerto Rico. Now I can do a lot more from here, trying to raise funds, trying to, get a dialogue from the Diaspora with the board of directors there. I've been lucky in the sense that I've been connected with the right people from the beginning. But, that's the reason why I'm here. I wouldn't have gone to Wisconsin. I don't know anybody in Nebraska. So Chicago made sense, But mainly the solidarity and empathy from the people here in this community for others, that's the main thing.